Why hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your hosting guide, Zollin Ironshield, and today I would like to talk about why is LOTRO so good at what they've done? Alright, why is the lore so good? Why is the game so fun? Why does it stay so true to Tolkien? And they focused on their strong points in the game, okay? So, to put this into perspective real quick, this video won't be super long, but for example, newer games that come out, newer genres, and you all know what I'm talking about, let's say New World or, you know, the couple other new engine ones, right? The steampunk one, right, that went kind of crazy, 2077, is that the right number? That had really bad problems with graphical things and glitches and problems like that. Well, one thing that LOTRO has always done good, and this goes along with other more classic MMOs as well, is they're very, very good at what they know they're good at. So when it comes to, like, for example, with LOTRO, they don't really totally push on the PvP very much, or player versus monster player as it's called in LOTRO, which is very smart. They really focus hard on what they know they're good at. They focus very hard on the storytelling and incorporating the lore, and even their made-up story plots fit into Tolkien's lore without causing any clashing or issues. They focus really good on that. The gameplay is actually really fun. I love the art style of LOTRO. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's really pretty. If you have a system that can do it, it's an older engine, so most systems can do it. But the funny thing about that older engine is, if you have a really good computer, you will get better visuals out of the top graphics than someone else with not as good a computer at top graphics. It's just the way that older engine works. Newer engines don't really work that way as much, but it's just how it works. So they're really good at their PvE. And why is this important, the PvE one? The PvE one's important because if you actually go and see what happened with New World, they focused really hard on making it really hardcore PvP. By the way, I'm not attacking New World. It is a fun game, but it's had a lot of problems too. So the point is, I'm comparing to show you what LOTRO has done good to focus on. When it comes to the PvP in New World, they worked so hard to make it hardcore that most casual MMO players got really upset because they're like, this is way too much work, right? I don't want 20 hours of my work gone in 2 minutes when one guy kills me for my stuff, right? Which is totally fair, right? So then they kind of slided it the other way, but then guess what happened when they did that? Well, it made all the hardcore PvP people upset. So now you have this battle and you're losing players on both sides for PvP. When it comes to LOTRO, there has always been a PvP small group, especially back when it was first out in the first expansion. It hasn't been as big. You should look at my LOTRO update. They're actually looking into making player versus monster player have some more rewarding things and some new systems, a siege system and stuff. It should be really kind of cool. I'm kind of excited to see how that works. But I was a big PvP player back in the day in LOTRO, so I was in both crowds, the PvE and the PvP. But I think it was very wise that LOTRO realized back when times were harder for MMOs. There was a time, if you all remember, about 6-7 years ago, where a lot of MMOs died. Okay, not all of them, but a lot of them. The ones that survived was Lord of the Rings Online, World of Warcraft, obviously RuneScape. The Final Fantasies. I mean, Final Fantasy, you remember, it launched and then they canceled and took it offline and relaunched it, which was very smart of them. And now what a great game it is. Guild Wars 2, those games all survived, right? And then, of course, we know Star Wars Galaxies died and a bunch of other games. And then, of course, Star Wars The Old Republic came and it survived. It's a pretty darn good game, too. So the bottom line is, the companies that survived, the proof is in the pudding. The good games that people liked, they had a good fan base, that cared about their players, that kind of stuff, and their stories and their gameplay, those ones survived, right? So that's what I think LOTRO has done good with, okay? I think LOTRO has done a fantastic job in the area of making sure they focus very hard on their PvE, player versus the environment content, with the storytelling and the creatures and the raids and the instances, right? That, you're fighting a dragon, you're fighting this Belrog, that kind of stuff. That's where LOTRO has really shined, right? I'm excited to see them trying to push their toe back in PvP a little bit, but it was very smart of them to not do that for a long time. I'm glad now that the game is growing again and has a lot more investments from all of us, that it's kind of growing. One thing I would recommend, though, to the LOTRO team, or Standing Stones at the time, who owns it right now, is that I would recommend to them to advertise it more. Lord of the Rings Online has never gotten enough advertising. That has been my one big pet peeve since I started playing, what, 15 years ago. So, since I was a very small dwarven lad. Could barely use a computer. But yeah, it's, so that's what they've done good. That's what they've done right. They've really focused on what they were good at, all right? Again, too, I like that now they're focusing on things, you know, making sure the things that really matter, right? They keep putting out, they're making it new content, new stories, because that is their core stuff, but they're working very hard to remove any lag problems. You know, now that they have a lot more support, streamlining things, making leveling easier, right? So it doesn't take as long, that kind of thing. When it comes to monetization, I think that LOTRO's done a really good job with how they've done it. Of course, it's still subscription based, but it's obviously has one of the best free-to-play systems of any MMO, classic MMO. Okay, let me just make sure everyone, classic MMO. I'm not talking about the new ones. A lot of the new ones throw stuff in your face all the time, and I've heard people say LOTRO does that, and I'm always confused because I've played a lot of MMOs, the brand new ones, all the way back to, you know, all these other ones that 15, 20 years ago, and I'm like, LOTRO doesn't throw stuff in your face. The only thing it does is occasionally on the loading screen, it'll show you that they have a sale in the LOTRO store. 20% off the points, you know. That's not really throwing stuff in your face if you've played any phone game. If any of you know and played a phone game, you know what that's like. And I don't really play a lot of phone games. So anyway, I think LOTRO's done a good job with that. I think that it's good that a lot of their monetization stuff in the store is cosmetic. There are a couple things, of course, that are boosts. But since, this is important, since LOTRO is so heavily focused on PvE, player versus the environment, and a little less on PvP, and PvP, you can't take a character and level it up. You have to just go on the monster player side, you're automatically max level, and then you just up your ranks a little bit to get stronger. What that does is it doesn't cause a problem of pay to win, right? If there are any bonuses in the store in Lord of the Rings Online, this has been very good too about LOTRO, because if there was pay to win, like some games, you know, you pay to have the best gear. I don't know if a lot of you have played the new Diablo 3, but I'm hearing that there's some big problems with pay to win things, which is understandable, and microtransaction stuff. But so bad that it's this one guy, he paid so much money and he's so strong, he can't queue to fight anyone because the system keeps going, I don't know where to put this guy, he's too strong, right? The automated like queue up system to fight other players. So he just can't play the game because he spent so much money on the game, astronomical amounts of money. But again, that's not really a thing in LOTRO, right? Ever. And I love that about LOTRO. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they keep it that way. But again, I think, again, some people might mention like, oh, well, what about the Valor packs that level you up? Again, this is why what I just explained is the reason behind why I don't find it to be a problem, because it's really no skin off your teeth, right? You could be, oh, well, I worked, 200 hours to level up my character, do all that stuff, and he just paid $80 or $70 or whatever, to level up. I mean, he probably worked, 20 hours of a real job to do that, right? And again, of course, you could say as a hardcore player, well, that's still dumb. I understand the frustration there, but I also understand for the people who don't have a lot of time to play and they really just want to play a raid with their friends at the end and be max level, right? And again, it supports the game, and again, it's really no skin off your teeth, because as the term goes, because it doesn't really affect anything, because you're not fighting them personally. They're just with you fighting other raid bosses, right? Now, again, you could be like, oh, well, it might cause a problem where in some small chance that they'll pick that guy over me because he has slightly better gear because he paid for it faster. I've never seen that happen in LOTRO, ever. Now, have I seen that happen with someone who just had better gear because they worked a lot longer and they're just way stronger? Well, yeah, but the buying thing's never been an issue. I've never seen that. So again, good job on LOTRO. I think they've done a good job with that. I'm glad that they're keeping away from the like spamming in your face monetization money stuff. I think it's good. I had a video on it recently that I think they could work a little bit more on. Maybe it's some other benefits you get with subscribing besides just having all the rest of the game's content except for free to play is amazing in LOTRO. You can go all the way to level 95. Like, I don't know, I would guess 500 hours of game time for free with no weird little walls even anymore. So it's really fantastic. So yeah, they've really done a good job. LOTRO's really done a good job in my opinion. I like the supporter pack things they've been doing. They're these little packs of just cosmetic things for your yard or something, and you can buy them. They give you emotes and all these little things to help you out. And usually always convenience things too, right? Like maybe fast travel tokens, which are like the mithril coins or things like that. They're not really things that are like you need to play the game, right? And so LOTRO does a good job in that area. So they know what they're good at. And that's the thing, by the way. And I'll shout that out to, you know, any other game company that's going to make game too. You need to pick and choose your battles on what you're going to be good at doing. Now, at this point in LOTRO's life, they've got a lot more support, a lot of growth. I think that it's good that they're reaching out right now. They got some more team members. They're really trying to make sure there's no more lag in the game, which is fantastic. And yeah, they can really start bumping things up and trying other things like they're doing with the PvMP, player versus monster player zone, with the siege battles. So anyway, those are a couple things that I think LOTRO is doing a really good job on. What do you guys think? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like Lord of the Rings content. This is just a little update video there. Me thinking on the things that LOTRO really knows how to, again, comparing to newer games. This is a problem with a lot of newer games. They're trying to be these newer companies and stuff, they're trying to like do these extravagant, amazing things. And what happens? It just dies. I will link a really good YouTube video of one of those, one of the awesome, there's a couple of them that cover lots of different MMOs, but someone did a really good one on breaking down New World. And their problems they had. But again, those are the things. New World almost had this, like, they aimed too much for one thing and then they pulled it back because the majority of people didn't like it, but then it hurt the people that liked it, and then it just caused this tear and then everyone was leaving. So again, still a good game. I'm not trying to attack New World, but it's just like LOTRO knows what it's good at, and LOTRO, you just try to stick to that. Of course, feel free to add in the cherry on top and icing and try to do some other things here on the sides, and obviously make that feeling just a little better with zero lag. But you keep focusing on those storytelling things and the beautiful scenery and the amazing immersive story of just being in Middle Earth. Because Lord of the Rings Online, let's face it, Lord of the Rings Online, the MMO, is the most closely adapted thing to Tolkien's works. I mean, it's right up there with Peter Jackson's movies. In fact, I would actually probably consider it probably more adapted if you don't add in the additions to Lord of the Rings Online. You just add in what it followed with the books, because it actually follows the books, the Lord of the Rings books, closer than Peter Jackson's movies. So, and those are amazing, obviously. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Have a great day in Middle Earth. Thanks, Patreons, for your support. You guys are the best. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do like Lord of the Rings content. And I'll see you all in the next episodes of Voice of the Rings. Baruch Hazad, Kuzad, I Menya.